Most people will have a plant they just struggle with every time they try to grow it. Well, personally, I have quite the list of succulents that I love but hate to grow at the same time. And I have good reasons. They have drama written all over them and it doesn't take much for them to die. They attract disease, have over-the-top needs and are a magnet for pests. While not everyone in the world may have the same experience with the following plants as me, but I think we'll all agree with at least a couple. I've been growing succulents for a living for over 10 years and have hands-on experience with more than 400 cultivars. And these are the biggest drama kings and queens. This is one stunning plant with the perfect shade of pink. Echeveria Romeo is also a major pain in the backside. While it can look super gorgeous like the plant in this video, it mostly looks like this. It is very prone to fungal disease such as mildew and rot, edema and mealybugs. To have a plant that is not covered in spots and marks, you'll need to keep it under cover. You'll also need to be careful with watering and make sure the potting mix is completely dry before watering again. A ventilated greenhouse is the ideal environment for Romeo, but even then you'll need to keep an eye on mealybugs. I've grown so many frilly cultivars as they look incredible, but can't think of one that wouldn't give me grief. They grow relatively well when the weather is super dry, but can fall apart easily during rain. They are super susceptible to powdery mildew, rot and aphids. The amount of aphids that flock to this Echeveria is maddening. This is a very well-known and popular cultivar. It's won awards and is regarded as one of the most beautiful Echeveria. But it can be difficult to grow. PVN dislikes humidity and overwatering, easily rotting or catching powdery mildew when the weather is wet. And mealybugs really love it. They will climb over other potentially tasty succulents just to get to PVN. It is so difficult to keep them at bay when you have this succulent. Purple Pearl is another beautiful succulent, but just like Pearl von Narrenburg, it likes to play up. It's pretty much the same when it comes to problems and will easily succumb to a disease or fall victim to the mealies. I might as well fess up here. I just cannot grow this one. It grows just fine during droughts, but then rots at any sign of rain or humidity. It would go bad even in a ventilated greenhouse. Having Crassula Bluebird on this list may come as a surprise to many of you, but let me show you why. It's because of this. Black spot and other fungal disease plague this plant during wet and humid weather. These are mostly grown in the garden here in Australia and the look can be completely ruined after it rains a lot. And this one will be a surprise to no one. It's a huge shame as this is such a gorgeous succulent. In my opinion, the level of variegation is too much to sustain this plant. The pale parts lack chlorophyll and therefore this bare spore cannot photosynthesize very well. They tend to be okay when it's dry and not too hot. But as soon as the weather goes wet and humid or hot, the little tomentosa starts to struggle. And they soon start looking like this. I do persist with this one though, as it is just so lovely, but it's tough going trying to keep it alive. So I have no problems growing the other string of plants such as the pearls, bananas, melons or tears. But for some reason the dolphins completely poop themselves once winter hits and lose most of their leaves. They kind of come back in spring but have to be cut back and repotted or propagated to get new strings going. This is a huge pain, especially with big pots that were lush in autumn and then only stalk throughout winter. For me, all Echeveria Finis hybrids and cultivars such as Black Knight, Black Prince or Serrana are difficult. They grow well during droughts but attract fungal disease when humid, even when under cover. And they can succumb pretty fast. But what blows my mind the most with Finis cultivars are the mealybugs. They find a way in no matter what you try, without fail. I do try and persist and still have a few around that I watch like a hawk, but I think I'll eventually stop growing them altogether. Pretty much all the problems that plague the Finis cultivars affect Fantastic Fountain. The mealies are not as bad though, but still a problem. Okay, so this succulent drives me nuts. It can be super sensitive even to slight humidity and is constantly suffering either edema or some sort of fungal disease. Also, mealybugs are a huge problem. I've just ended up chucking the last lot in the bin. I find this plant goes under several different names, but all of these yellow or orange ones have identical problems. Pests. Both mealies and aphids just cannot stay away. Even if you catch them early, they leave marks that are very visible. It's such a shame as this is otherwise quite a tough succulent. Pretty much the same problem as the previous one. Constantly attacked by mealies and aphids plus edema and fungus. It almost always has some kind of leaf damage due to pest or disease. This lovely succulent does not like rain or humidity and needs to live under cover. Edema is a major problem, and while Bashful is unlikely to die from it, it will have ugly permanent spots. And the last one on my naughty list is this beauty. The red edge practically glows and the short white hairs make it look like it's been covered by frost. And while the weather is dry and not humid, Ruby mostly behaves. But it doesn't take much for spots like these to plague the leaves. Even under cover, Ruby can be difficult and still get infected by fungus or rust. And that is that. If you have a list of succulents that you just cannot seem to grow, do let us know in the comments. I hope this video was useful, and if you'd like to learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you so very much for watching.